Hello, I'd like to speak today about the successes and failures of the Irish government in regards dealing with the COVID-19 crisis. American economist Milton Friedman said that the great mistake is to judge policies and programs by their intention rather than their achievements. In Ireland, we see today that one quarter of all confirmed cases of COVID-19 are with healthcare workers. That's because they weren't given, at the beginning of the crisis, sufficient PPE to deal with what was at hand. And also, one half of all deaths in Ireland are currently taking place with old people in care homes and convalescent homes. When we look at the success of various countries around the world, we see that for countries with population under 10 million people, that Ireland is at the top of the list for deaths per million people. I think it's 220 deaths per million people. So for small countries around the world, Ireland is the worst performing. Of all countries in the world, it sits at number 7. So for deaths per million people, Ireland is number 7 globally. Given that we have a young population, given that we have small population or relatively small population density, and that we're also an island, these figures uh, do not lie. So I think we've got to stop this national pastime of, as the press call it, putting on the green jersey and deluding ourselves that a great job has been done by the Irish government. So far, it's been terrible, and it needs to improve, not only for the good of people to protect their lives, but also the livelihoods of many people who are now deeply affected by this lockdown. It will lead, it has already left 1 million people on welfare, and it will lead to great trouble in regards to mental health if it's continued for a long time. Now, it's my personal view that there is a way out of this crisis, this national crisis. It would be my view that let's look at the countries that have been successful so far, countries like Taiwan, South Korea, Greece. What have they done that we are not doing? Well, the greatest difference with these countries, Taiwan, for example, first thing they did was close down the borders with China. It's very close to China. It has huge economic links with it. But the first thing when they heard was close down the borders. Ireland, because of Fine Gael's obsession with subservience to the European Union and the doctrine of EU open borders, we failed to do so. And all our early cases came from northern Italy. Sadly, that horse is now bolted, even though at the same time we're currently and recently taking in almost 200 workers from Bulgaria in Eastern Europe. Crazy. Uh, so the first thing we should have done was close down the borders. As I said, that's already gone. Second thing that countries like South Korea and Taiwan are doing is that their policy is to test, to trace, and to treat. Now, a few weeks ago, the government Leo Varadkar were saying he hoped to get up to 5,000 tests per day. Then it came in at 1,500. They're currently talking about they hope to have 10,000 tests done per week, but they don't have they're now making an excuse that there's not enough people showing symptoms to get the test done. Well, in these countries which have dealt with the crisis successfully, their program was to test as many people as possible, to trace all the contacts of those with symptoms, and to treat them. Now, there's a doctor, Didier Raoul, in Marseille in France, and he found 6 weeks ago or before that that treating people with a drug called hydroxychloroquine, which has been around and been approved for treatment for 70 years. It's an antimalarial drug, and that it reduces when used early. It has a huge effect in getting rid of the COVID-19. This is now being used in many countries around the world, from Greece to Bahrain to countries in the Maghreb and the Asian countries. Probably the worst thing that happened to it was that Trump suggested it a number of weeks ago. Of course, the media, the anti-Trump media, have gone crazy about it. Simply, I believe, because Trump mentioned it. But in the countries where it is being used, it has been a great success when used early in reducing the cases of COVID-19. So a fourth aspect, which is very important, is that of using masks. Now, it's the best, stands to reason if you cover your mouth and that the coronavirus is carried in the aerosol of your breath. If you stop the expulsion of that aerosol and the intake of aerosols with COVID-19, that you're going to reduce it. Now, the WHO, the World Health Organization, said a month ago that no, well, they were the people who said don't close the borders, and they were the people who said don't use masks. But now even they've come around to the fact that using a mask is a good thing. Second aspect I would like to talk about is about the financial and mental aspects of the lockdown. Now, we were told initially that the purpose of the lockdown was to give us time to prepare, that we could increase the capacity in hospitals, increase the number of ICU units, and we could protect old people in convalescent homes. Now, 6 weeks on from this crisis, um, we have, and to be fair to the government, they have done good things in that they have brought many doctors and nurses back from overseas to help out in this crisis. And now it seems we have enough reagent that we can do enough testing, if there is the will to do that. But so we have increased the number of ICU and hospital places that are needed if the numbers increases dramatically over the next few months. The lockdown, I believe, well, one aspect of that, so many people in nursing homes. Now, the Nursing Home Association uh, did the right thing in February and early March when they closed access to the old people's homes to protect the people who were in there. It was the government who said mid-March that it was okay for people to go there, and that was obviously the wrong move. And now half of all the deaths in Ireland from COVID-19 are in old people's homes, and the figures are, what is going on there is actually frightening. So a second aspect, an additional aspect of what we need to do, and the main thing we have to do, is to prioritize the protection of older people in convalescent homes, because they are the most vulnerable and the most likely to be affected and killed by coronavirus. So, on the back to the lockdown. Now, we were told it was to give us time to prepare. We have now had that time to prepare with reagents, with getting enough PPE for healthcare workers and for people in care homes for those who need it. we have all these things now in place. We've had sufficient time. Now, this COVID-19, it is, and the policies which have come from the Irish government are an attack, one, on people's lives, and two, on people's livelihoods. Now, 1 million people are currently unemployed, and it has led to an economic crash in the economy, which will be very evident as we go forward. So my personal opinion on this is that we've got to get going on testing, on tracing people in contact with COVID-19 people, and treating them with hydroxychloroquine. And the fourth aspect is we have to ask and require all people who go outside their homes to wear a mask to cut down the spread of coronavirus. And also prioritizing protection of old people in convalescent homes and in their own homes as well. And with that done, I believe it is time to open up like the people should be allowed to get out of their houses, get back to work, and people should be able to take back those natural freedoms which are laid out in the Irish Constitution of free speech, of free movement, and getting out of their homes and living an ordinary life once again, as long as we take in these strategies to reduce the spread of COVID-19 as much as possible. So they're my personal views on this crisis, and I ask everybody can read and everybody can think about what is going on, what has proven successful and what has failed in various countries around the world. And I believe that we should learn from the successes and the failures of other countries, have an honest assessment of what is going on in Ireland. The days of putting on the green jersey as we had during the Brexit time are over. The figures in Ireland are very poor, and PR and the press giving the Irish government a soft soaping, those days are over. This is far too serious for that. I've seen a joke from some councillor there today that Leo Varadkar was caught going down, driving onto the motorway. He was stopped by a guard, and he said, where are you going? Are you going for a spin doctor? Well, the days of spin doctoring, I think, are over. So I think we need to reassess where we are and change our strategy, do those things I've suggested, and follow the best practice of successful countries. And I believe it's time to get people out of their homes, back to work, given the protections that I've suggested in this video. So my name is Herman Kelly. I'm president of the Irish Freedom Party. I thank you very much for your time. Gora Magadsa.